What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew, and it is reaction time. We are reacting to the Geelong round 24 match against the West Coast Eagles, where we kind of comfortably got it done. Final scores 26-12, 168, beating the Eagles 11-9, 75. Just a cheeky 93-point win on the eve of finals. It's a good place to be. Feels very Geelong v Melbourne back in 2013. It's got that kind of vibe about it. But I want to kind of pick through, I guess, the game of two halves that we kind of saw, some of the highlights, some of the lowlights, some of the things we need to watch going into finals. We, of course, have a pre-finals bye ahead of us now. And so that's going to, I guess, create some selection challenges and questions for the club going forward. And so I want to kind of pick through what we've got, what we're looking at, and how things could kind of proceed from here. But let's begin with the top level and explore the worm itself. We're up by 100 points at halftime. Jeremy Cameron had 6 up till that particular 7, I should say, up until that particular stage. It was a complete performance from the Geelong Footy Club in the first half. They never really, there was no lapses. There was no anything. This was the team that was stung by what happened against St Kilda in the second half and came out and flexed their muscle. And if I want to base our finals prospects, and I know what West Coast threw at us was like they were throwing punches like they were wet lettuce leaves. I understand that there was no real competition through that first half whatsoever. Hence the 18-614 to 2-2-14 scoreline. It was a complete demolition from the Cats. But what I saw in that first half was a team that can absolutely go on and win the premiership. It was a complete performance. They created space for one another. It was cohesive. Everyone was linking up in the right ways. Thrust forward, we're cut short by the defense, and then we surged the ball up the other end of the ground if we weren't winning it at the coalface ourselves. And it was really, really good to see. In the second half, it was clear the queue had been put in the rack a little bit. There was no interest in necessarily extending the margin any further, which to me was ridiculous because we're kind of we're basically chasing it. And I record this in a vacuum before Port Adelaide goes head to head with Freo later today. We knew that the club needed about a 20-goal swing between the two teams, as well as for Port to lose and for the GWS Giants to lose to the Dogs. We need 2 losses and a 20-goal swing. And we kind of blew the 20-goal, well, at least a huge part of the 20-goal swing. We had all the power to basically take the percentage game out of it. And simply, if Port lost, we would take their spot. Instead, we've given Port a chance to hang on no matter what the outcome is, as long as it's close. And Freo play close games of football. So, yeah, we kind of flubbed that. We ultimately went on to win by 93 points, as I said, but we lost the second half by 7 points. You can kind of see it in the worm here. There was a little surge of a couple goals from the Eagles there that really should not have happened. It wasn't anything major, but we had an opportunity to put, like we had already put the foot on the throat. We could have squeezed. We could have absolutely buried this mob, and we didn't do it. And that was a bit disappointing. But we went on, we won the game by 93 points. We are in a great position. And honestly, I think regardless of whether we have the home game or not, or the MCG game or not in 2 weeks, I'm pretty happy with, I guess, the way the Cats are positioning themselves for the finals at this particular point. But let's push on into some team stats. As you'd expect when you win the game by nearly 100 points, pretty much everything was in Geelong's favour. Disposal count, we had a lot more of the ball. We controlled the ball in the forward half, in the defensive half. We kind of led the way in that regard. Disposal efficiency was high. It was a pretty clean and easy game for the Cats. But what we do very well when we are up and about is we halt oppositions inside 50 disposal efficiency, and we did a great job of that against the Eagles. That's what a Geelong team who's really thriving, it does. Free kick count, like, what? I didn't even notice this. I wasn't paying close attention to the free kicks over the course. But of course, yeah, we really dominated them. And I'm shocked, though, that it was such a swing. Anyway, hit-outs, Reece Stanley was fantastic in the ruck. Clearance numbers, everything stacked up as well. Would have liked to see a bit more dominance from the Cats through the clearance game. But the Eagles midfield isn't bad. I mean, when you look at Tim Kelly, you look at Harley Reid, you look at Cripps, they've got a range of excellent players that can roll through the middle there. It makes sense. I get why it's a bit closer than what it appears. But considering Reece Stanley, I mean, the hit-out numbers were kind of only barely in the Cats' favour. But considering, I think, the dominance that was there from him, I'm surprised that we didn't take full advantage of it. From their contested possessions, uncontested. We played a very uncontested, free and easy game, not because we were chipping it around or anything like that, but more because we were able to just find space and create space and really kind of blow apart the Eagles in that regard. They executed the game plan perfectly, especially in the first half. Everything kind of tracks really in a good space. Contested marks, I would have liked for us to be our spoiling game to be a little bit better there. There was a few that the likes of Jack Darling and Harley Reid mentioned take that I would have liked to see spoiled by Geelong. It's right on top of their game, but we kind of let a few of those go in the second half specifically. And then of course everything from there really shapes up. To have more tackles than an opposition that you beat by 100 points is a really great sign as well. And all the other stats, like everything really tracks for a team who is a top 4 team playing against a team that is right at the bottom of the ladder. And so congratulations to the Cats in that regard. When we look at the player numbers and I filter out the Eagles, it's a pretty rosy picture for the most part, very much the team effort. You look at those disposal figures. It's been a long time since we've seen such a spread of players that are north of 20. Now, of course, we did dominate possession throughout the course of the game. But Geelong, we'll always have a couple that are in the 20s and then the majority in the teens. So to see so many players getting their hands on it, it's really good for us going into the finals that people are finding good form. They're finding touch. It's a really, really good sign. But even, extending beyond that top kind of dozen or so there, we're talking about Rhys Stanley, who got 16 disposals and 33 hitouts. Great figures from him, as well as a couple of goals. That's the Rhys Stanley we want to see going into finals. And to finish the season with a game against the Eagles, a soft kill, if we're being perfectly honest, a soft kill, and him to kind of play such a great game, that bodes really well, because a Rhys Stanley who's feeling confident is a dangerous Rhys Stanley for the opposition. And so I hope that he comes out there in 2 weeks and just blows whoever his opponent is away. Tyson Stengel looking great. Again, getting plenty of hands on the ball. Cole Jasny, Jack Henry, Mitch Duncan. Mitch Duncan kind of lied on numbers-wise, but the ball didn't really find its way into defence all that often. So I'm okay with that. Jeremy Cameron, 14 disposals for 10 shots on goal, 9 of them being goals. He'd kicked 8 straight, I think, at one point. Everything looks really, really good across the board. And, of course, our lowest numbers, Tom Stewart and Lawson Humphreys, as well as Jed Bews, they're all wrapped up with subs because Tom Stewart was subbed out. Lawson Humphreys as well, kind of rested for the last 80, 90 minutes of game time. Jed Bews came on and looked pretty solid, but I am really curious to see what things are going to look like for Jed going into finals as well. I love having Jed in the team. I think he's a really valuable asset as a back pocket who can really clamp down on the opposition's most dangerous small forwards. The fact that he's there or thereabouts for the club right now, I think is a good sign. But it'll be interesting to see what plays out going into round 24 because we do have, going into the finals because we do have players to come back. Whether that, of course, is Tom Hawkins as a key forward, Gary Rowan to come back in. There's a range of different selections that could put a little bit of pressure on Jed. I hope he makes it. And yeah, it sounds like the injuries when it comes to Tom Stewart and Lawson Humphreys are incredibly minor. And there's nothing that's necessarily going to serve as an obstacle to them playing in the first week of finals, which is great news. They were just very conservative. It was a very complete game from the Cats, especially in the first half. The second half, I think we kind of toyed with our food a little bit too much, and I didn't love that. That's an ego sort of thing that I don't like seeing from the Cats. But I think ultimately we've positioned ourselves very well for a tilt here, regardless of who we're playing or where we're playing them. I look at that and I go, okay, we can take it up to Sydney if we have to go up to Sydney to play GWS or the Swans. We can take it to the Power if we have to go to Adelaide, and we can take any of those three. Not that we're going to play the Swans at home, but we can take any of those three if we were to play them at the MCG. So depending on how things play out later today, with the Giants going against the Dogs in Ballarat and Port taking on the Dockers over in WA, regardless of which of Port or GWS we play, I feel pretty confident that we're in this game up to our eyeballs. And that's a great, great sign, considering a lot of us were kind of thinking, we're kind of rebuilding on the fly here. We're going to need to see some players developing over the course of the season. Maybe we make finals, and that's going to be a pretty good outcome. But to kind of finish top 4, which I picked, by the way, and go back and check out our videos where I kind of show that off when I did my ladder predictor. to kind of ultimately go on and do that it's an incredible accomplishment. So top 4, whilst not losing a beat, whilst developing a whole range of amazing players, with Ollie Dempsey likely winning the Rising Star. It's been a great season for the Geelong Football Club, no matter the outcome in the finals. That said, we're here. We've got a double chance. And I want to see us give this premiership flag a tilt. Because why not? We could give this a real crack and come away with something really special in a rebuilding year. Why not us? Anyway, those are my thoughts on Geelong's win against the Eagles. Again, a big crushing win, 26-12, 168 to 11-9, 75. Great stuff from the Cats. Hopefully they can carry that first half momentum into the first week of finals and then keep the foot down the entire time. That's my worry from the last 2 games. That's my big question mark right now, or one of 2 big question marks I have, which is around the ability to keep the foot down for the entire game, to play out a full 4 quarters. And then secondly, the question, of course, surrounds Tom Hawkins. And I'll pop my 2 cents in here. I've done it in post-game live. I've done it in a whole range of videos so far. I firmly believe that Tom Hawkins should be in the team. I'm not saying at the expense of Shannon Neal. I want to see Tom Hawkins playing deep out of the goal square, Jeremy Cameron leading off the pocket or the flank, while Shannon Neal is playing centre-half forward, and that is too much for most teams to handle, let alone Ollie Dempsey, Ollie Henry, Gary Rowan, Brian Myers, Tyson Stengel, Brad Close, all those smalls and mid-sized players that can play around those 3. That is a dangerous, dangerous prospect for any team. And you cannot, just because Hawk has had a lesser season, he's about to wrap up, just because he's having a lesser season, a down year, doesn't mean you can ignore him, because he'll brute force some of his opposition and take some strong contested marks. This bodes very, very well for the Cats going forward, I think. So hopefully he makes the team. Hopefully his foot is okay and he's good to go. There's also a question about Cam Guthrie. He's been tracking really well health-wise. He could be putting his hand up as well. And we know he's got class. We know he's got skill. That's a dangerous prospect for the opposition as well. Create some great selection problems. Let me know in the comments what you think. Should Hawk be playing? Should Gary Rowan be playing? Should Cam Guthrie be playing? Who comes out? Jed Buse, Zach Tui, all these guys that have been kind of on the fringe all year. Where do they sit in the picture as well? That's where we'll wrap things up for now. Thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to check out all the Hoops Crew content on the YouTube. You can subscribe for 7 days for free and check out all the stuff that we have there. It's an amazing trial platform that we've got. You can then sign up beyond that for the cost of $5 an entire month. You can get all of the content we put out there free to your email, exclusive, and early access as well. It's a great trio of assets that you get just for spending $5 a month. Consider that. Check out the YouTube channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. You can find me at Paul James Games on socials. Specifically, Twitter is the best place to get me there, as well as the Hoops Crew too. Until next time, remain Geelong strong. Go Cats. I'll see you later.